Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. We have a mailbag coming up for you guys here on today's show. I answer your questions on a live show that we held, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the call. But first question comes in from a loyal subscriber, HNT. How about Hunt for Deebo? How about a beautiful beachfront property in Nebraska? I wish the San Francisco 49ers would be that easy to trade away Deebo Samuel. It would be very fun. The Browns have sneakily cleared a ton of cap space. I don't think a Deebo Samuel trade happens, but they kind of have the money. They just don't have the capital to make it happen. Fun idea, though. Next question from Jerryaholics. Yeah, Jerryaholics 502. Appreciate the question. Do you see any other players on Browns that could be traded during the draft? That's a good question. We actually talked about that in our last show, and I really can't. Maybe Kareem Hunt, but the issue would be, one, I don't like the idea of trading Kareem Hunt for starters. Two, running backs, you don't get good trade value back for them. You know, it's like you drive a car off the lot. It's kind of like that with the running backs. Because Trent Richardson got the Browns at first and was awful for the Colts and now plays in a Mexican football league, no one wants to trade a lot for a running back. I really can't picture maybe Taki. That name just popped in my head. You know, a linebacker, an off-ball linebacker if a team's looking for one and they don't get one in the draft, and the Browns decide, you know what, we like Walker and JOK, and we run a lot of nickel and dime sets. Kind of my best idea. Matt Rossetti, do you like Mayfield? All right, that's like a billion-dollar question in Cleveland right now. So I don't hate Baker. Okay, I think Baker Mayfield did a lot of great things. Not only himself. You know, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb were very instrumental, Jarvis Landry, in helping the Browns win that playoff game. But you can't say that Baker didn't do anything. I've got no ill will against the guy. You know, do I think he underperformed for being picked first overall? Yes. Was it his choice that he got picked first overall? No. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be a fine quarterback in the NFL. I think Deshaun Watson is just a better quarterback. And Andrew Berry agreed and pulled the trigger. But I'm not a Baker stan, nor am I a Baker hater. I just think the Browns wanted to upgrade, and that's what they did. Jeffrey, before we filled our QB room, Baker is worth a second all day, and even the salty Browns fans know that. I agree with you, Jeff. I think if the Browns were to have rolled the dice and decided, back in February we wanted to move on from Baker despite Barry saying Baker's our quarterback and then kind of walked that back. But yeah, I think if the Browns told Washington, hey, you can have Baker for a second or you can get Carson Wentz for 2 seconds or a second and a third, I bet Washington would have picked that option. I think they would have rolled with Baker at least for 1 year and then drafted a quarterback next season. Next question comes in from Andrew Miller. If you could only sign one, would you rather have Landry or Clowney? Good question. Tough one to answer. I think Clowney can offer you more impact on the field today, but Landry's where my heart is because of his long time with the Browns, unlike Clowney, who just 1 season. But what do you think? Pick one to sign. Put the jersey number of the player you would rather sign in the comment section. Type 80 for Jarvis Landry or type 90 for Jadeveon Clowney. Let me know which player you would rather get if you had to pick one. If there's only room for one, Barry's only got enough money to sign one of these players to a 1-year, $11 million contract, whatever it may be. Who are you going to get? Ballers, you were with our last live show. Appreciate you being here today. Desmond Ridder? Oh, no. What if he falls to second round? No. You don't trade away a ton of assets to get Deshaun Watson to draft a quarterback in round 2. Now, listen, I don't mind drafting a quarterback when you already have a quarterback on your roster that you know he's not losing the starting job. I just don't think you do it in day 1 or day 2. CC Green Bay Packers. But the quarterback position is the most important position in all sports. So if you see someone that you think is a round 3 guy that's in round 6, yeah, sure, take him. You never know what's going to happen. If Watson goes down, you need a good backup. Worst thing you do, you trade him. Browns rule. What would a DK Metcalf trade look like? It's a good question. A very difficult one to pull off because you don't have a first-round pick. So you're going to the table with the worst hand. The Jets could offer the 10th pick, and the Falcons could offer the 8th pick. I think a DK Metcalf trade would look like Baker Mayfield because the Seahawks want Baker, and you give up your 44th pick, you give up a third, you get DK, and you get like a round 5 pick because GMs love to toss in day 3 picks to smooth everything over and make the deal happen. How does that look? Mitch McPherson, would you take Jameson Williams in round 2 if you felt? In a heartbeat. Back when the Browns had the 13th pick, I was debating between Williams and Wilson with that first round pick. That's where I was stuck between, was one of those two guys, because I think Jameson Williams would have been the top wide receiver in this draft class if he didn't tear his ACL in January. But guess what? You don't draft someone for just one season. So I'd like to see GMs not be so concerned about 1 year. Now, unfortunately, I would love to know if GMs would draft differently and everything differently if they were told that they would have a job for 10 seasons. But some GMs go, hey, I don't have time to waste a high pick on someone who may not be an immediate starter. It may not make an immediate impact. I need to win now or I'm fired. So I'm going to take a healthy guy over the better guy. Kevin Malone, one of the best TV show characters ever. What's a sleeper team to trade for Baker? We're talking a lot about sleepers today. We just talking a lot about sleepers. Okay. Sleeper team to trade for Baker. What about the Lions? You got the connection between John Dorsey, former, of course, Browns GM, picked Baker first overall in 2018. He now works in Detroit's front office. I don't think Jared Goff is a bite some kneecaps kind of guy. That's what Dan Campbell in Detroit's looking for. I don't know if Baker is that either. I don't know if anyone is. But I think Baker's closer to biting a kneecap off than Jared Goff is. So if Dan Campbell really wants a different quarterback, it'd be tough to envision because Jared Goff is owed a ton of money this year. So is Baker for 18. But if the Lions ask the Browns to eat half of that money in exchange for a better pick, yeah, maybe Dan Campbell gets his guy if that's what he wants to do. What do you think, though? Where will Baker be traded to? Ultimately, when it's all said and done, where is he going to end up? My first gut reaction, I went like this. I went Colts. All right, they trade for Matt Ryan the next day. No longer the Colts. I thought Seahawks, because I don't think Pete Carroll wants to be a part of a rebuild. And let's face it, Baker Mayfield's better than Drew Lock and Geno Smith. All of a sudden, they bring back Geno Smith, and they kind of look happy with Drew Lock or drafting a quarterback. And so now I'm on Panthers. I think he ends up in Carolina. Mason, a long-time subscriber. Appreciate you, my dude. When do you think Clowney will sign with a team? So, Jadeveon Clowney last year signed with the Browns on April 14th. Today is the 25th. He's a little behind schedule. My guess is he's entered the window of like no man's land where GMs are going, hey, let's talk after the draft. Let us figure out who we end up getting in the draft. And then when it's all said and done with our draft picks, we'll revisit your contract on the table and see if we need your services. Because if the Browns really wanted him, I think they would have gotten him at this point. Tony Takanawa, MVP. Every time we play against Baker now, over or under in a season, he grabs his and swears at us. I don't think it's going to be KU all over again. I do know this much. The Panthers play the Browns this season. If Baker goes to Carolina, that's got to be week 1, right? That would be so fun. The memes would be awesome. Think about it this way. Sam Darnold went from the Jets to the Panthers last year. Who did the Panthers play week 1? They played the Jets this past season. Game sucked. Very bad red zone experience. But I miss red zone. God bless you, Scott Hansen. Guys, we are also on Rumble. So if you're looking for another spot to get your Browns news and rumors video content, listen, Rumble's an up-and-coming video platform service, and here at Chat Sports, we are the number 3 team in the team channel pecking order. I'm trying to catch up to the Raiders and the Chiefs, because listen, I got the Chiefs guy Harrison Graham behind me, and I've got Mitchell Renz, our Raiders report, diagonal for me. So I'm in a crosshair. So help me win this battle. Let's get to the top. Follow us over at rumble.com/BrownsReport. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Jeffrey with our next question. Round 7 sleeper. Dicker the Kicker out of Texas, baby. I like it, Jeff. I like Dicker the Kicker. And, producer Marsh working on the fly right there. Yeah, in his career in Austin, 73% field goal kicker, 57 long. I don't know how much faith I have in Chase McLaughlin. That was a fun, 11 weeks, 10 weeks? And then it kind of went downhill. I like the idea of going again. I could think of 2 very good Texas kickers A little trivia right now. What's the one that went to play for Cleveland Browns? We'll talk about that later. But I like Dicker the kicker. Steve C. with our next question. I feel like if Pickens or Dotson isn't there at 44, we trade back into the 50s, get an extra pick, and take Metchie. Steve, I think you're on the right path. I think a trade back is probably more likely than a trade up. In fact, after the Browns gave up a handful of picks for Watson, only have 7 picks in the draft this year, I don't mind this idea at all. I actually like your idea of moving back in the draft because don't feel the need to pick someone because you have a pick at the spot. If you don't like the board, start picking up the phone. See if anyone does like it. Teams do this a lot. Other teams fall in love with a player. Don't know why. It happens. We see trades all the time in the draft. And I would have no reservations against going from 44 to like 53 and you pick up a 3rd-round pick next year. That would be awesome. I love that idea, Steve. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel to get on a future Browns mailbag because we do them all the time here. I think that's what makes Chat Sports my favorite place to get any NFL, NBA, news and rumors content, why I love it so much here, because it's a two-way conversation. It's not just me standing up here spewing my mouth the whole time. You guys have an opportunity to get on the show, be a part of the show. So make sure you are subscribed. That way you can be on the next mailbag. Long-time watcher, Captain Orange. Who is Atlanta's QB? Maybe Baker. Well, right now it is Marcus Mariota. They also have, what's his face? They have Josh Rosen on the roster still, I think, too. But then they have the Felipe Franks. Thank you, Producer Marshall. Yes. So those two guys suck. Let's get that straight. Marcus Mariota's thrown like 15 passes the last 2 seasons combined while being a backup in Vegas. I think Baker is better. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Is he better? Is he $18 million better? You know? Is he giving up a draft pick better? Is that something Arthur Smith wants to do? Give up draft capital after signing Mariota, who he worked with in Tennessee when he was the OC and Mariota was the quarterback. Let's move on to the next question. Tara D. Do you believe in Nick Harris or Posick to fill in for J.C. Treader at the center position? I think it's going to be Nick Harris because I don't think the Browns would have released J.C. Treader if they didn't believe in Nick Harris. When they signed Posick from Seattle, I think that was let's get some depth and some training camp battle. You don't want Nick Harris walking in, that guy in the locker room thinking I've won the job already in August. No, you want a nice battle for your second-year, third-year center. So I like the idea of going with Nick Harris. I think he's going to win the battle. And the Browns, he played a couple games last year, had some time spotting J.C. Treader when all that COVID nonsense happened. So I think there's a lot of confidence in Harris. Stewie with our next question. Any chance of trading back into round 1? Like I told Steve earlier, Stewie, I would not. I don't think you should trade back into round 1. Only if Chris Olave or someone you fall in love with falls for no reason. If you combine your second and your first, third overall pick, that gets you right on the 31st, 32nd, and into round 2 range. That's what the draft pick market value chart looks like. You combine 44, you combine 78, it projects you to land right at the line. And remember, very big difference between 32nd and 33rd. You get picked 32nd overall, you get a 5th-year option. GMs love having that control over players. It's cheaper, it's more cost-effective for them. And fortunately, the Lions at 32 know this. So it'll cost probably a little bit more, unlike the 33rd. Huge drop-off after that point. What do you think, though? Do you want the Browns to trade back into round 1? Are you interested in giving up draft capital to get back into round 1? Or you're like, you know what, we've already made a ton of trades. Let's just stay put with where we are. I'd rather not. Type T for trade or P for pass.